So I want to talk about a touchy subject in the recovery sobriety world. It can be a touchy subject. It shouldn't be, but it's the idea that AA is the only way to get sober. There are lots of AA members now that are starting to realize that it's not the only way to get sober. And look, let me just start this off by saying, if you go to AA and it keeps you sober and it keeps you happy and it works for you, by all means, keep doing it. I think that's great. I know for a fact that AA works for some people, and I've seen it. I know and love people who it has worked for. I also know lots of people that it just doesn't work for, and that would include me. I've been to thousands of AA meetings. I first went when I was 21 years old, and I got a sponsor. I read the big book. I've been through the steps multiple times, and it just didn't work for me. And I was always told to keep coming back, rework the steps, go to more meetings. I was never told in AA to do something different besides AA. You're always just told to keep coming back. And the saying that it works if you work it sounds encouraging, sounds positive, but the problem with that is that if it doesn't work for you, you're automatically to blame. Now, there's no other treatment, therapy, medicine, drug that when it doesn't work for you, you blame the person. You know, if a doctor tries a medication for you and it's not working, you don't blame the person. You try a different medication. So it's the same thing with AA. I mean, it just doesn't work now. When it works for some people get it immediately. You know, some people were problem drinkers, went to AA and never drank again. There's a percentage of people like that. And hey, good for you. I wish sometimes that's what happened to me, but it's not. And it forced me to look into other avenues. And the problem with that is you'll be told by people in AA that I've heard if you leave AA, you'll die. That's a very common thing that's said in AA, not just to me. I've heard it a million times. You know, I've heard, again, keep coming back. That is an AA cliche, like if it doesn't work. But then there was one, it's not an official AA saying, but there's a quote that you often hear in AA. It's attributed to Albert Einstein, but he didn't say it. But anyway, the saying is, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. Now, you'll hear that in AA in regards to drinking, like trying to drink safely, responsibly over and over again and expecting it to change. And that's true. Like if you're a problem drinker, you're probably not going to be able to drink responsibly. But I applied that saying to AA itself. I was like, okay, yeah, I keep doing the same thing over and over again. Got a new sponsor, worked the steps, went to more meetings, got a service job, did 90 and 90, all the AA stuff I did. And it just wasn't working. I didn't do 5 meetings. I didn't do 50 meetings. I didn't do 100 meetings. I've estimated that I've probably been to about 1,000 AA meetings over the course of my life. And it just never kept me sober for long periods of time. I think the longest I stayed sober in AA, like picking up chips, monthly chips and stuff like that, was 11 months. Whereas I stayed sober for almost 20 years without it, with no support group whatsoever. That's a whole nother story for a different video, but up until the 1990s, there really wasn't anything besides AA that you could do as far as a support group for alcohol abuse. Smart Recovery started in the 90s. That's probably the second most well-known recovery group, but there's Dharma Recovery, which is a Buddhist-based recovery system. There is Celebrate Recovery, which is more of a Christian group-based recovery system. There's groups for men. And what happened to me is in recent years, recent memories, last 5-10-ish years, I've noticed growing communities online, on Facebook, Instagram, of people who are sober and have never gone to a 12-step meeting, or 12-step didn't work for them. The bottom line is, if you find a method or a group or something that resonates with you, that is most likely the thing that's going to help you stay sober. I had a problem with a lot of the AA ideology from the onset. One of my biggest problems is the book was written, the AA Big Book was written in 1939, and it's barely been updated. I think that they updated some of the text, I believe, in the 70s, and maybe once again in the 90s, but I'm talking the revisions that have been made are minimal. And anybody, listen, the book was written in 1939. By today's standards, the book is very misogynistic. And again, it was written in 1939 when men and women had very different roles in society. And you can tell that it's a white man's book, and so I'm a white man, so you would think I wouldn't have any issue with it. But just even reading the stuff today, a lot of it is cringy. There's a chapter that at AA meetings is acknowledged as being very antiquated. It's called Two Wives. So it's almost like the book is just written for men, and then there happens to be a chapter for their wives to give them some insight and direction. Well, clearly today, there's lots of women who go to AA. So they sort of ignore that chapter in AA. But there's another chapter that's often read in AA meetings, and it's almost interpreted like it still holds water today, but it's called The Doctor's Opinion. Now, again, written in 1939, the average person who goes to AA for any period of time knows more about alcohol use and abuse than those doctors did in 1939. You've got to remember, this is before they had the cure for polio. Now, the doctor's opinion is read, and I can sum up what the doctor's opinion was in 1939. It's an endorsement of AA, which is why they included it in the book. But if I had to sum up what the doctor's opinion was in 1939, it was, hey, us doctors have tried to help people with alcohol problems, and we don't really have anything that works. These guys in AA might be onto something. That's essentially what it says. Like, we're clueless. We don't know. We don't have an idea. But AA seems to be working for some people, so you might want to check it out. That's the doctor's opinion in a nutshell. Now, since then, there are now medications, anti-craving medications. There's different therapies. We've come a long way since 1939, and the doctor's opinion from 1939 really shouldn't mean a whole lot. So I think what most people don't know is that AA's overall success rate is only about 10%. Now, when I point that out, and I've pointed that out in some of my articles, and I pointed that out online, and I tend to get a bunch of grief from AA members that are like, there's no, how do you get these numbers or whatever? Well, first of all, the first place I heard that it's about 10% was in AA from AA members. Like, only 1 out of 10 of us is going to make it, is going to stay sober. Make sure it's you. So it's known within AA that it's only about 10%. Now, again, because a failure is always blamed on the person and not the program, the 10% are sort of like meant to give themselves a pat on the back, while the 90% just didn't work it hard enough, or work it the right way, or keep coming back. And that's foolishness. Now, I don't think that there's any specific recovery group, recovery support group that's ever going to have, you know, a 90% or 80% or maybe not even a 50% success rate. I don't know. But what I do know is that the more different kinds of support groups we have for sobriety, the more people are likely to stay sober. And I equate that to physical fitness. Like if weightlifting was the only way to get in shape, you would have a certain segment of the population that would stay in shape, but it doesn't resonate with everybody. But we have Pilates, we have jogging, we have cycling, we have swimming, we have boot camps, we have all kinds of different yoga. There's so many different ways now that people can get into shape and stay in shape that it gives people a choice on what resonates with them. Some people don't like running. Some people love running. Some people don't like to lift heavy weights. Some people love to lift heavy weights. But the more options you have for physical fitness, the better. The more people are going to stay in shape. And I look at sobriety the same way. The more options you have for groups, for things that resonate with you, the more likely it is that you're going to find something that you stick with. Because ultimately, whether it's AA or whether it's Rise or whether it's Smart Recovery or whatever it is, you have to kind of drink the Kool-Aid. There's no question. You have to buy into the program. Now, it's just more likely that you're going to buy into a program that resonates with you. And so while AA was really focused on the past, what you did wrong, who you harmed, it says use words like disease and defective, and it's like a lot of negative unearthing of your past. Okay, and I think there's value in that to an extent, but how long do we keep repeating what happened in the past and what we've done wrong and who we've harmed and who we need to apologize to? At some point, I wanted a program that says, okay, I'm sober now what? Well, now you focus on building yourself up. And one of the biggest issues I had with AA personally was that health and fitness is an integral part of my life and therefore my recovery and sobriety. At every AA meeting, you're going to see lots of smokers, coffee drinkers, and donut eaters. In fact, they supply the coffee and they supply the donuts, and there's going to be a group standing at the front door of the AA meeting, chain smoking, putting them out in the butt can before they go in. Now listen, I'm not judging anybody. All I'm saying is, if you're there to quit drinking, but then you can have as much nicotine, caffeine, and sugar as you possibly want, is that a healthy direction? It might be the lesser of two evils. I get that. And, you know, for me it is. I mean, alcohol is the most destructive drug I ever tried. But at some point, I want my health to be part of my recovery. And so, and I've abused nicotine, caffeine, and sugar. I used to be overweight. I used to smoke a pack a day. I still drink too much caffeine to this day. So those are all things that are mind-altering substances. Don't get it twisted. Caffeine is a mind-altering substance. Nicotine is a mind-altering substance. Even sugar is a mind-altering substance. If it can alter your mood, it is altering your mind, and sugar can absolutely do that. Of course, obviously, alcohol is probably going to be worse for you, but these are still mind-altering, unhealthy substances when they're consumed, and there's a lot of AA members that consume all three in great quantities. And I wanted a program that was based on overall health, not just not drinking. So that's why I started Rise. That's why it resonates with some people, not all people. It's not for everybody, and that's okay. It's not the only way to get and stay sober. Neither is AA, neither is any one program on sobriety.